make sure you guys get as much value as possible. No shade to any other coach out there. And this call right here is going to be crazy valuable because I guarantee you have not seen this anywhere else. I guarantee you have not seen this anywhere else. But what I want to mention is I want to provide as much value as possible. I know that there's no other communities out there, no other coaches out there that want to bring as many coaches together who are basically in competition with each other. All the coaches in this space, if they teach short-term rentals, they're all in competition with each other. Every single one wants to have specific students. Every single one wants to have all the students to themselves, every single one. So the fact that I can bring all coaches together and provide, and them still be able to provide valuable information is amazing. Like, because coaches don't want to work together because they want each other's students. And I had to stop coaching so that I could put this together and not be seen as competition to the coaches. So I'm going to continue to bring on more and more coaches. Every single time a coach goes live, every single time someone talks about their experience learning from a coach, we get more and more coaches that are like, oh, I'd be interested. So just from you guys sharing you guys' experience and things like that is making more coaches want to be able to be a part of the community and learn from you all and teach you all what they know. So just because you guys are sharing, your experience, I had someone come from another community. I'm not going to say the name of the community, but they have a mentorship program. It's like a partnership program. They charge like $5,000 for their partnership program. I had a few people come to me on social media and mention that someone messaged them in that community talking about Z-Fine University. So it's like, that's just one coach though. It's just one coach teaching a certain amount of subjects. So I'm able to bring in, we have 9 coaches right now. I want to have 30 coaches. I want to have 20 coaches. I want to have 15 different coaches rotating every single month, where, next month you can get a whole set of new coaches, or you can vote what coaches you want to stay. Like, it can be things like that. And so I just want to tell you guys, I definitely am appreciative of you all. I love hearing you guys' feedback. I don't care what it will cost me. Like, just like with Z-Fine, we lost a lot of money with Z-Fine, but to make sure that people were getting units, and it came because we cut our price down. Or, like, I'll share with you guys today, like, we at a certain point with Z-Fine, we went through maybe like 150 emails a week because certain platforms would ban us for sending out too many messages or sending out too many emails. So even with that, I was still giving people free trials. Like, we give people 14-day free trials, but I'm gonna just give you guys this insider tip. All you have to do, you have to hit Michaela up, 469-382-1406. If you text Michaela and you ask her for an extension, she will give you an extension, because I said so. I said that if anyone is not able to get a property within their 14-day free trial, if they hit you up about trying to extend, which nobody asked to extend, they either just pay or they don't pay, but nobody asked to extend. There's only a small amount of people that actually do it because they're not scared to. And we extend it every time because I want people to get properties, even if it costs me money, because I've always noticed that when people get properties, they come back. It's people that have been subscribed to what we've been doing for the past 4 years, and they have, 20 properties, 30 properties. There's coaches out here in this industry that offer Z-Fine as a service to their students. Half of the coaches in this community offer Z-Fine as a service to their students. And it's because they know how far I will go to make sure that people are straight. So, it just comes with a price. It comes with not making money for a few months or a year, not being profitable for a few months or a year. But what's the result? Success for other people. And then on the flip side is success for me, a little later. But I'm willing to wait for that because I want as many people to win as possible. And so that's why I created a community like this. I want as many people to win as possible for the lowest amount of money as possible, but bringing the most amount of value as possible so that people can be as successful as possible. So that's the purpose of it. I'm going to stop talking. I have a lesson today about property acquisition when it comes to using LinkedIn and getting property owners. A lot of people aren't familiar with that space of using LinkedIn. A lot of coaches, I've never heard a coach talk about using LinkedIn. The reason why I know LinkedIn is because I ran a marketing agency in 2021, and our target audience, our customers were realtors, and we were getting seller leads for realtors. So we were finding people that wanted to sell their properties and connecting them with realtors so that they could sell their properties. Now, obviously, someone can sell their property without using a realtor, but during the time of like the COVID era and when realtors were trying to make a lot of money and they were trying to get business, it was a killer. So I'm gonna share with you some marketing agency strategies that I learned on my own that we now implement in ZFind to help people get properties by using LinkedIn. Now, this costs money if you were to go out there and do it yourself. The benefit that you have by going through ZFind is you pay less per month than what you would pay a virtual assistant to do this for you. And a virtual assistant charges $2 an hour. A virtual assistant charges $3 an hour. A virtual assistant charges $5 an hour. And our price is still less than what you would pay a virtual assistant to do this task for you. And you can directly use us as a resource to help you locate a property. So I'm gonna show you how LinkedIn works. Again, it costs, it would be like, if anyone wanted to do it, it'd probably be like $400 maybe a month to like do this for yourself, just for LinkedIn though. So this will be good. So first things first, let me visually make this clear for you all. That's the zip code for, you want me to use that zip code for this lesson? Is that the price? It's the price per month to just do this LinkedIn strategy if you were to do it yourself. So if you were to only do the LinkedIn strategy, $400 per month is what it would cost you to only just do this LinkedIn strategy to find property owners. This is outside of, and this is all automated, by the way. That's the other thing. So this process is entirely automated, but that's how much it would cost you to just find property owners on LinkedIn. This doesn't include any other place that you will find property owners on Facebook, Zillow, Twitter, Instagram. It's just LinkedIn only. So for someone to be able to generate this type of thing to like get properties for themselves, it could cost them $1,000 a month. It could cost them maybe $500 a month. It could cost them, whatever strategy they want to go. If they use a virtual assistant, it would cost them probably an average of like $3. You could pay a virtual assistant $3 an hour part-time. They could work 4 hours a day. I would show you guys a student in here is what their part-time virtual assistant does, because like I coach people one-on-one directly sometimes, and she probably gets maybe 20 property owners that say yes to allowing Airbnb every single day. off of 4 hours of work from a virtual assistant, and she pays them, I think, $3 an hour. So $3 an hour, for 4 hours a day, every day for a month. So that would be your cost for a virtual assistant if you were to have that person. And you can scale this so much. Like, there's another student in here. His name is Sam. If you hit Sam up, he has a co-hosting business. And when you do co-hosting, the benefit that you have, see, with rental arbitrage, the difference with rental arbitrage is you have to come up with the money every time, or you have to have some type of funding to come up with the money to lease the property, set it up, furnish it, and everything like that. But it's more worth it for you to spend $400 a month just using LinkedIn or having a virtual assistant, whatever the case may be, to do this task for you. Because if you do co-hosting, that's the only money that you're spending is on the deal process. Just like Alan said yesterday, if you're doing co-hosting, your only real cost is just getting more deals, finding the property owners. Rental arbitrage, you have to come up with the money, you have to furnish the property, you have to come out of your pocket every single time you get a new unit. Co-hosting, you don't have to spend any money. So you can spend all your money on building your acquisition side of the business and just acquiring deals. So Sam, he's 19 years old. Sam has been doing this now for like 60 days, but within the first 30 days, he got 5 co-host deals. And I taught him how to do the deal acquisition thing. It's killer, because at the end of the day, all he literally has to do is get more property owners to say yes, onboard them for co-hosting, not spend any money, and he can have 5 property owners call him in one day saying that they want to work with him, and he can onboard every single one of them because he does not have to spend any money. And he can charge them a service fee or a setup fee to set up all their accounts, consult them, everything like that, and profit on the day just by his acquisition strategy. So co-hosting, I recommend really paying to use acquisition services and use all these acquisition strategies to get a whole bunch of deals coming to you if you're going to do co-hosting, or you just had crazy capital and you were doing rental arbitrage. But most people aren't in that situation. So co-hosting is, you still don't get co-hosting. All right, I'll make it make sense. So actually, I'm gonna show you guys so that you guys know that you're not talking to anyone. You guys aren't learning about co-hosting from anyone that doesn't have experience. So this is what I was telling Alan yesterday. So all right, let me explain co-hosting first. No, actually, let me show you this first. So this is a co-hosting deal that I had for a little over, it was like 2 years. And this was a house manual that I'm showing you. I removed the address because I removed all the contact information because I use this as a template for people that I teach on how they can create a house manual. But essentially, this house right here, so just think about this. As you can see my picture, but this house right here still exists. It's a main house, a guest house right here. The guest house is 2 stories, king size bed upstairs, foosball table, couch, TV downstairs, full kitchen downstairs as well. Washer and dryer over here, TV outside, dining table outside, full 5-bedroom house right here, main house. On the other side of this house, you can't see it, but they have a full-size basketball court outdoor, and then they have this pool. Now, the rent on this property in 2021 was $17,000 a month. Now, in 2021, I could not afford $17,000 a month. So I'm looking at this property that's $17,000 a month in rent, and because I knew someone, I knew the daughter of the, I knew the daughter whose parents owned this house, because I was playing basketball at her house with some friends, and I had met her, and I knew that I couldn't afford the rent. So I'm like, well, I can just manage this property for them. I can manage the property for them. And if I manage the property for them, I don't have to pay any rent. And by managing it for them, they made 80% of the income that was generated at this property. And because I managed the property for them, mind you, all I was doing was taking care of bookings. I was managing the bookings. I was getting bookings. I was managing the prices. I was communicating with the guests. I was having a cleaner go over there and clean the property every time someone checked out. And for that alone, for me knowing how to operate an Airbnb business, I got paid 20% commission for every single booking that came through at that property. And the reason why co-hosting is so attractive is because I did not have to pay rent. I did not have to spend any money on a property that I could not afford anyways. I didn't have to show my credit. I didn't have to show bank statements. I didn't have to show that I had a job. I didn't have to show anything. All I simply did was found a property owner that had a property that they wanted to make money off of. And the reason why this property was available to make money off of it is because these owners were so rich. They still are rich. They own an oil and gas company. They own multiple, actually. This house in Dallas, they only spent 3 weeks at this house out the entire year. And the rest of the year, it would just sit. Like they wouldn't have any action in it. Nobody would rent it. The only people that would stay at the property is like friends and family if they were in Dallas and they needed a place to stay. But other than that, nobody stayed at the property. They didn't rent it on Airbnb. They didn't use them for VRBO. It just sat because they just had so much money that they could just let this property sit. But because they were business people, see, when you go after properties that are big properties, mansions, whatever the case may be, luxury houses, these people are also business people. These people are making a good amount of money that allows them to understand business in a sense. So if you're explaining to them an opportunity where they can make money off of the property that they have, and you're able to somewhat project income for them, then they understand business enough to know that it may be a good investment if you're the right person to work with them. So this deal took 6 months to close. If I had to do this all over again, I know how I could close this deal in 1 month, but it took me 6 months. And the property ended up generating 40 grand a month in high season. So in Dallas, high season is typically from like March to October, November-ish. Generate 40 grand a month. I took 20% of 40 grand every single month for 9 months. And I made that biweekly. And I asked them if they could put me on their payroll so they could show that I was an employee of a company, but I was getting paid 8 grand biweekly so that I could go and then do rental arbitrage. So co-hosting, the benefit of co-hosting is literally the fact that you don't have to spend any money and you can make as much money as you want, because this was just one property. Like I ain't gonna lie, I got complacent. I got complacent because I was making more money from co-hosting than the average Airbnb operator would make. I made more money off of one property in co-hosting than an average Airbnb operator would make off of 5 or 6 properties for rental arbitrage. Just off of one property. So like obviously I was kind of feeling myself. I was getting complacent. I was comfortable. I was traveling. I was buying things. Like I mean, I was young. So well, I wasn't that young, but that was my first time making that much money. So it's Yeah, you don't have to have money. I'm telling you, like, but the thing is, what I also noticed is there's not a lot of coaches that teach co-hosting, because co-hosting is not that sellable. Like in like if you, so one coach that I do know outside of Alan, outside of Vivian, who's also in this community, um, William, he's speaking tomorrow. William West, really good friend of mine. He is killer in the co-hosting space. Like he knows his stuff for sure. Um, but outside of like those people, there's other coaches that probably go over co-hosting, but there's not a lot of coaches that want to teach co-hosting because one, they just don't know it well enough, or they've never done it, because they were probably sold on rental arbitrage, and so that's the only thing that they pursued. But co-hosting is a lot easier, and the information is the same. Whatever information I know for operating an Airbnb by doing rental arbitrage is the same exact thing that I would know for co-hosting. The only difference is I don't have to spend money. But it's not marketable for a coach because everybody hears the word rental arbitrage. Everybody hears the word sublease. Everybody hears the word rent, lease. So nobody's going to be attracted through advertising to join a coach's program if a coach is saying, hey, I'll help you get your first co-hosting deal. Because now you have to have enough time within the journey of that person before they buy your program to explain to them what co-hosting is, for it to make sense to them, for them to then buy your program so that you could teach co-hosting. So a lot of coaches just focus on rental arbitrage because it's enough information out there for someone to understand at least what it is to feel like they want to work with a coach. So, I mean, that's just what it is. So that's why for $49 a month, I just bring all the coaches in that teach co-hosting, rental arbitrage, mid-term rental co-hosting, short-term rental co-hosting, like everything. And you don't have to, you can learn it right here. So, but yeah, that was my co-hosting deal. I truly love co-hosting. Like co-hosting, um, it can be for someone that is trying to get out like into a better situation. Like if I lost everything today, if I just lost everything and I had to start from scratch again, I would co-host, because I know that I have the skill set and knowledge to start a co-hosting business. I can probably get maybe 10 properties a week from co-hosting, and and the minimum that I could make every single week off of bookings per property could be $300 to $500, and that would instantly get me out of any situation that I'm in, because I did not have to spend any money. Well, maybe just on acquisition, but I didn't have to spend any money um, on operating. My money was only spent on getting the property owners to come to me. So co-hosting is an amazing business model, to be honest. Um, I've seen some out of it, but not all. I do have his email. Yeah, definitely reach out to Alan. Um, I do apologize though. Like I should have, maybe I should have double checked or something like that to make sure that he was recording the entire thing. But um, I'm gonna make sure I get him in before you guys' payments hit another month, so that you can get his value again, so that you feel like you didn't lose anything. Um, and just so you guys know, also, when I ask questions to coaches, I'm not really asking so that I can learn, because I don't want to be arrogant. I know a lot of these things. I'm really asking because I know that a lot of you all don't know what to ask. So if I ask those things, it'll start making more sense to you all. So that's why I ask things. So like, never be scared to ask questions. You will not sound dumb at all. I ask these things to help you guys, because I know what to ask. You guys probably may not know what to ask. And so I know it's going to help you all. But I want to really get into this lesson, because this is going to be powerful. All right, so Actually, all right. One of you give me. Actually, all three of you guys can give me a city. Just give me a city. I'm gonna do this for. Nah, you're fine. Ask as many questions as you want, but I want all of you to give me a city, and I'm gonna do this LinkedIn lesson for each of your cities. Phoenix. I don't know if you know, but Phoenix just put in a regulation. I was looking at it today for short-term rentals. All right, Waldorf, South Bend. I know a lot about South Bend. I know a lot about South Bend. I'm from Ohio. All right, so let's start with Waldorf. Waldorf. Notre Dame. Yep. I played at the University of Cincinnati football, and my defensive coordinator, Marcus Freeman, he's the head coach at Notre Dame. All right, so let me break this down first. All right, so right now, just clear mind. City does not matter. The first thing that you need to understand is when it comes to property acquisition, I truly don't recommend. I don't really recommend building I would say property acquisition army where you just have multiple people working for you full time, unless you're trying to acquire a bunch of properties at once. If you ever see people that say, "Oh yeah, I have 20 properties," and they're like, "I want to continue to grow," and it's been like 3 years, it's because they're not putting all their attention on property acquisition. Because the Airbnb business itself is fairly easy. I'll say that it's fairly easy, but it's too complex for someone to focus all their attention on property acquisition. So what they really have to do is they have to start looking for properties again when they're ready to start looking for properties. But if you're doing property acquisition as a service, or you have it as a platform, whatever the case may be, then all you're doing is property acquisition. So you can hire a full-blown team to help you with acquiring properties, because that's the only thing that you're doing. And I actually quit Airbnb full-time to focus on ZFind, which is crazy. Like, I don't want to say I regret the decision, but I could have did both. All right, so property acquisition, just to kind of give you guys an idea, costly. Can be costly. Requires a lot of, it could require a lot of emails, to be honest, depending on profile. Lucrative. It's a lucrative business. The reason why I say it's lucrative, because everybody needs a property to get started. With ZFind, like, I'll tell you this, like, before we got our price down to 297 and 97, we were charging $1,500 for property acquisition. And when I tell you, that business model was so lucrative that it just made no sense. Like, we were getting maybe like 100 signups a week, paying $1,500. But the money was great, but the people that were getting started, I noticed that they would sign up for the program, get access to properties. And when they found a property they liked, they were telling the property owner if they could hold the property or if they could just wait a little longer so that they could recoup and make a little more money so that they could invest it. I'm like, dang, these people are spending so much money to just get a property or get access to properties and then they're not able to get the property because they don't have any money left. And everybody else is still charging thousands of dollars for property acquisition, which is fine. But I'm like, again, I want people to be successful. I want people to be able to get what they paid for as soon as they pay for it. So we're just going to have to lower our price. We're going to lower our price to where nobody can compete with us. And when we did that, we got a lot of recommendations from other coaches as well. A lot of feedback from the other coaches. And when we lowered our price, it made it easier for people. So we were definitely not profitable for a while, though. We were unprofitable for about a year. And I would say this is really it right here. But it's varied on like platforms that you can leverage. So if you ever, and I'll actually dive deeper into this. So deeper dive, just so you guys can understand this piece. So this is how you'll be able to understand like who really does this and who really doesn't do this. So most coaches will just tell you, and this is because this is all they do, and there's no problem with just this being all they do. Most coaches will tell you, just go to Zillow, just go to Zillow, just go to Zillow. And yeah, that's great. But Zillow has properties, but Zillow is buying data. Zillow's going out and they're spending millions of dollars a week probably, or $1 million a day, or millions of dollars a month to buy data of property owners that are interested in renting their property. And they also have built a brand of property owners that are interested in listing their properties for rent on their platform. But that's not all the property owners, because again, they're buying data. You can buy data, but that doesn't mean all the property owners out there are going to come to your platform. That's the same thing that we deal with. Like, we buy data, we do ads, we run marketing campaigns, things like that. But that doesn't mean we've touched all the property owners, because if we capture 20 property owners within the next hour, after the next 10 minutes of that hour, there's 5 new property owners in that same city that are interested in renting their property. So we still have to be able to capture those amount of people that may have the best property in the world outside of those 20 people that we actually captured. So we have to be able to capture those people again within that same day, or within that same hour, within the same minutes. So like, that's the game that Zillow's playing. Zillow's just been fortunate enough they've been around since 2008, 2007, long enough to be able to make property owners think, oh, I want to rent my property, I'm going to put it on Zillow. What we're trying to create is, I'm interested in subleasing my property, I'm going to put it on ZFund. And so we have property owners that come to us as well. Every single day, we have maybe 5 to 10 property owners that are like, hey, I heard about you guys, I saw you guys, I want to lease my property for sublease, or I've never heard of you guys, I want to learn more, but I'd be interested in leasing my property for sublease. How does this work? But when we get to a point to where people know for a fact that they can sublease their property, and they know exactly what it means, and they know exactly how it works, then we get way more property owners. But because rent is just such an easy thing to understand, it's been around for a long time. People didn't start getting hip to subleasing until people started doing businesses. Like, it's going to take a while to get to that million listings a month, or 100,000 listings a month level. And it could take 2 to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, But coaches, they only teach Zillow because that's the only thing that really, it's the most efficient way to find properties, and it's going to be the easiest way to find properties. But it's not going to be the easiest way to find, it's not going to be the easiest and most efficient way to close the property on sublease, because that's a whole nother process. But it's going to be the easiest and most efficient. But outside of Zillow, you literally have hot pads, and coaches may not teach hot pads, but hot pads, so Zillow owns hot pads, But HotPads actually distributes their properties to Zillow, Rent.com, Trulia, and someone else. Forgot. And oh no. Rent, they distribute it to Zillow, Trulia, Street Easy, and Out East. So Out East and Street Easy, right? So what people may not tell you is that if a property owner lists their property on HotPads, or if they list their property on Zillow, it also is added directly to all these other sites. But all these other sites also have properties on their site that aren't directly added to Zillow or HotPads. So you may find different properties on these sites than what you may find on these sites. So, but coaches don't tell you that, right? You have apartments.com, right? You have rent.com. You have homes.com. You might find something on realtor.com. You could find something on forrent.com. Like, these are all sites. I could list 20 more if I knew them all. But then you also have Facebook Marketplace. You have Craigslist. You have Instagram. You have Facebook. Facebook itself, like you could use like Facebook groups. You have Twitter. I found a lot of property owners on Twitter for some reason. You have LinkedIn. It's literally endless. So coaches just market Zillow, but you can literally find properties on all these other places. And so when you take a deeper dive, don't just think Zillow is the hardest. It's going to be the place. Like, a property owner on Craigslist is way easier to close than a property owner on Zillow. Because what you deal with Zillow is, a property owner on Zillow is like, well, I just want to rent out my property and I trust that Zillow will find me the perfect renter. But the property owner that's on Craigslist is listing their property and just hoping anybody comes to them. So you can find a great property on Craigslist and approved for sublease because the property owner just wants anybody to come to them. That's the people you're going to find on Craigslist. You're going to find those type of people on Facebook Marketplace. So now what you have to worry about more on these other places is the scammers. You have to worry about property owners you have to worry about people that claim to be property owners, but they're not actually property owners, and they run a rental scam where you think it's the property, you're paying a security deposit, you're paying rent, and it's not even a property owner. So with those type of people, if it's in your city, you have to make sure that you're going and taking tours at the property. If you get any property owner that tells you, oh, I'm out of town, but I can have someone meet you there, or I'm not doing tours at this time, like, don't fall for it. It's probably a scam, or it's a real situation and they're being sketchy. So always judge with those other places. Always judge with Zillow as well, but it's a lot harder on Zillow because it's a lot of verification stages that you have to go through. And if you scam on Zillow, you have to create a new account. And on Zillow, they're a lot smarter as well. So people just don't do it. like Zillow, the company's a lot smarter. So I just wanted to share that with you. So what I'm sharing with you is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is literally just one platform, that this can work for. So let me show you guys, because I'm excited to teach this. Again, I'm not out here full-blown coaching programs. So what I'm gonna share with you is have any of you heard of LinkedIn Sales Navigator before? I'm gonna do this for all y'all. No, okay. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales tool that most sales teams use on LinkedIn to find their target customer. A lot of businesses use it for hiring. A lot of people use it to contact people. You're rarely going to see coaches that have a LinkedIn profile, because it's not like they're sleep on LinkedIn basically, and they only run ads basically. Um, they're not true marketers, if that makes sense. Like, they're coaches that are using one marketing technique to get in front of people, but you can use multiple. Um, I forgot to mention, you can find property owners on Google. Like, you can find property owners on an app called PropStream. It costs to use PropStream, but you can find property owners there. Like, there's so many ways you can find properties. All right, so LinkedIn Sales Navigator is for that. I'll show you exactly what that is as well. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for one person, it's like $129 a month or something like that. And then to add an additional person, it's like you pay like $130 something per person. So it's cheaper for you to just do it with one person. But if you have a team, it just gets super costly. And then the other platform is this platform called Ulink. And with Ulink, I'm actually grandfathered in. I've been using Ulink since 2021, but they actually don't even offer Ulink anymore for people unless they were grandfathered in. They don't even sell it anymore, basically. But this is Ulink right here. And Ulink is the automated system that's going to allow for me to connect with property owners and leasing agents and leasing specialists on LinkedIn by using the LinkedIn Sales Navigator tool right here. So this is connected to my LinkedIn profile, and basically I'm able to find people in any industry I want, right? So if I wanted to search realtors that work with Keller Williams, and I want to do a second degree connection with them, which means it connects with them, they accept the connection, and we're instantly followers and friends of each other, and we can message each other whenever we want. So second degree connections all the time, but I can find 36,000 plus people on LinkedIn that have Keller Williams anywhere in their LinkedIn profile. And then I can save this search and target all these people by sending them a message. And it will send up to like 400 messages per week to these people. The software will add these people, connect with them, send them a message, all automated, and basically get them in front of what I'm trying to offer. So what I usually do is I'll do like function to find property owners. I'll do function, so I'll do real estate, and then for current job title, I'll do real estate investor. Or I'll even do like, I can add more, so I'll do like real estate. I don't like to do real estate agents because they're like weird about leasing, because they only want to look for buying deals. And even if they don't even close deals, buying deals, they still don't even want to do lease deals, because they're like they're a little arrogant sometimes. If you're a realtor, I'm not trying to offend you in no way, but I just noticed that. I've been doing this long enough to notice that. But I'll just stick to real estate investors, and then you can do like seniority level, entry level, but I wouldn't recommend it that much. If you do like years in current position, like this is like a more seasoned real estate investor. I typically don't do these people all the time because they're stuck in their ways a lot of times. They're not open to new things a lot of times. But if I do someone that's like 1 to 2 years or less than a year, you get like those new investors that are like, they're happy, excited about real estate. They want to just get a tenant. Like they're way easier to, close. So I do something like that. And then, like I mentioned, you guys are city. So I'll start with Waldorf. So I'm going to go into geography and I'm going to do Waldorf, Maryland. So it shows 0 results. So like this wouldn't work for a place like Waldorf. Well, actually, let me remove years. So 5 results. But the likeliness that I'll get someone out of 4 people really, because this is restaurant. They're a restaurant. And I can exclude things as well. Like I can exclude commercial real estate, I think. Commercial. But don't get discouraged because you don't see Waldorf on here. Because again, I just showed you like 10 different ways that you can find properties. But I want to make sure that there's a way you can exclude stuff on here. I think it's usually like something like this, like commercial. I'll figure it out. But essentially, Waldorf, what I would do is I would come here and like I would say Waldorf is more of like a Zillow type of place or like a other rental platform place. But what I would do is I would come in here. So I'll do it with a place with more results and I'll show you how it works. So you have more of an idea. So let me actually do Phoenix. I'll do South Bend as well. So I'm gonna do this Phoenix. And then what I also like is like you can do include. I'm gonna do every place that I can in Phoenix. Phoenix Metropolitan. And that's it. So that gives me way more results, right? So my search currently is for property owners across the entire country. So I'm gonna hit the people in Phoenix at some point. I'm not gonna hit them as fast as I could if I just focus on Phoenix, but I'm gonna hit them because the search is 2,500 people. So over the next few months, at 200, at least 400, no, at most 400 people a week, I'm gonna hit them at some point. But this is just one strategy to find these property owners where some of them are listed on Zillow, some of them aren't on Zillow, some of them have off-market properties, some of them own apartment complexes, and they don't need to list anywhere, but they have vacancies, right? There's so many options. So with this, what I simply do is I'm going to select. I'm gonna go to. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this link up here. I'm gonna use Ulink, and I am going to basically create a campaign. So as you can see right here, we have leasing specialists and real estate investors in my campaign right now. These are my 2 active campaigns. And it will tell you how many requests went out in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, how many have actually connected with you, how many replied to your connection message, and how many replied to other messages that were sent. So basically what I would do is I would do a search. I would start with a search. And with the search, I have Phoenix. So I would start a new search and I would select Sales Navigator right here. And then I would do this. I would paste my link in there. Now, Ulink is able to detect if you have a Sales Navigator account. If you don't have a Sales Navigator account, because I've tried this many times, I've tried to create a Ulink account for a different contact so I could have more of a reach, and then use my LinkedIn Sales Navigator account, and it didn't match up, and they wouldn't let me do the search. So you have to have a LinkedIn Sales Navigator account. And so, but I'm gonna tell you guys a way around all this at the end. So, search name is gonna be investors in Phoenix. I probably didn't even spell Phoenix right. So now we're gonna do real estate. I'll do like this so I know. Then we're gonna add search task. So it's gonna wait, but it's gonna basically connect with all those 400. It's gonna add all those 400 results to my campaign. And then now what I want to do is create a connector campaign. So now I want to do new connector campaign. I want to name it our investors in Phoenix. And I'm gonna copy the steps from my real estate investors network, my real estate investors search, and then go here, and then go to steps so you can see the steps. I've shared this script before, but this is my welcome message script. This is my connection message script. My welcome message script is basically a script that I would give to a property owner if I were to use Zillow, if I were to use anywhere else. Ours is a lot different because we have Z-Find, so we're trying to market Z-Find, not, I've mentioned this before. So like when we're talking to property owners, we're trying to convince them to allow, we're trying to convince them to allow sublease, allow Airbnb, but then we're also trying to convince them to, if it's okay to list their property on our platform, to then be connected with someone who we don't even know who they are. So we're trying to get them through 3 layers of approval. Whereas if you're just doing this yourself for your own portfolio or your own property, you're just trying to get them to allow sublease and say yes to sublease or say yes to co-hosting, and you're instantly working with them. But because we're not taking the properties directly, we're just having them on our platform, we have to get 3 layers of approval. So our messaging just looks a little different. But basically, this is the connection message, and I'll show you what that looks like. Basically, LinkedIn will do an automatic connection with them, and then it'll send this message. So it'll be like, hey, whatever their first name is, love your profile, looking to connect. This is a message that I just created myself. And then the welcome message is this, so send immediately after the connection if there's no reply. And then if there's still no reply, it can send another message 1 day after. And then if they don't reply again, it can send another message, right? But I can add multiple steps. I can add another step for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 10 days, 2 weeks, 2 years after. Like I can do all these things, right? And what I can also do is I can add whatever I want. So whatever the title is that they have in their profile, whatever their company name is, I can add that in here. So in here I say, I saw you're working with whatever company, right? And I just ask them if they've had an awesome experience. What I noticed with this message though is some people feel like I'm pitching them on a job with this message right here. So I have to change this message to make it feel like I'm trying to get them to sign up for something, or I'm trying to get them to join something for free. But I have these options, and then I can just save this. And then if we go back to our search, you'll see it's 100 investors in here now. So all these investors are in here, right here. All of them are real estate investors, broker, owner. So they're owner of a cash now homes company. I'm assuming they buy houses for cash, right? Self-employed, but he's a real estate investor. So these are all property owners, like literally all property owners. Like this right here is a little different because it's a commercial, so they have a cell phone repair. But I honestly wouldn't worry too much about it. If you're really worried about it, you can just delete them out of here. But I try not to delete people because it could say cell phone repair, but they can make money and they could invest in real estate. So these can be property owners. These are up to 493 property owners that have properties in the Phoenix area that can be targeted. 123 now, right? So essentially what I would do is I would wait for all these to come in. So let me see what this one. So like, I don't know which ones are queued because it's probably, on page 30. So if I'm doing it for the real estate investors, I'm gonna literally wait until it's 493. But if I did it for real estate investors right here, then what I'm doing is I'm basically waiting. I'm gonna wait maybe until, if I know the search is for 493, I'm gonna wait until it shows like 200, or I'm gonna wait till it shows like 400. And then what I'm gonna do is, instead of adding selected people to connect your campaign right here, I'm just gonna do add all new people to my campaign. And so it's gonna add every single new person. And so I'll show you what it does just for the heck of this one right here. So add all new people to campaign. And then I'm gonna do it's the real estate investors in Phoenix. I'm gonna add. This is gonna change to NQ. So that means right now my LinkedIn is working in the background, getting ready to send them those messages that I just showed you in those steps. And so all these property owners are in queue right now. So but I actually don't even know how to like stop it. So I've never had to stop them ever. But essentially it's gonna go after them directly. And then if I wanted to respond directly with them, I can respond on LinkedIn as well if I wanted to. But what I noticed is on LinkedIn, I would have to copy and paste every single message. So like, if I go to like, let's see what this property owner said. Your services sound great and very convenient for both ends of the party. I ran this idea through my manager, but unfortunately we do not allow this at our community. Subleasing, right? So this property owner, cool, no problem. This is a leasing agent, right? This property owner says, I don't currently have vacant properties, right? Community does not permit subleasing. This is a leasing specialist. So like leasing agents, you'll always probably hear coaches say like, oh, apartments are harder to go after because leasing agents, they have to get approval from the leasing agent, the leasing manager, the community manager, the property manager, the owner. Like they have to get approval from all those people to allow a sublease. Whereas the real estate investor, they're typically a private owner, just owns their property. They're the decision maker. They don't have to get approval from anybody. So they will make a decision faster than a leasing agent that's just saying no because she doesn't really know. But I've gotten properties at Cortland MacArthur. I've had Airbnbs at this community before. Right here. I've had Airbnbs at this community. This is a Cortland facility. But the leasing agent is not the one that you negotiate these things with. The leasing manager is. But I use leasing specialists because I'm hoping that it could target the leasing manager or whoever. But my next search would be for property managers, or it'd be for leasing managers, right? Because I want to get above the non-decision maker. So this one, move on. So like this property owner said, I'm happy to connect, Landon, right? So they responded. So that means my message to them will not continue sending because it only sends if they don't reply. So I come in here and I have to do continue sending messages. So it's gonna send that next message. It should show it on here. So it's probably pending, right? So this one, I'm actually divesting my properties. But notice how I don't have any negative responses, like get out my inbox, stop messaging me, right? Because I know that the way we position things in our scripts won't make a property owner have that type of reaction. Whereas some people will teach things where a property owner will have those kind of reactions. Yes, you can close it out, right? I'm transitioning jobs. So like they never even responded at all. So my last message was, should I close out this conversation? No thanks, right? I will double check and let you know. I would say, okay, awesome. Looking forward to hearing back. So, and now it shows talking. So it didn't continue send messages. Now my messages won't send until I actually try to get it going. Hi, Landon, we might be interested. Can you send the information to my work email? Right? So this is a leasing specialist in Austin, Texas, with this management company. This is not a franchise company like Cortland or Greystar or Avenue 5. This is a smaller management company, and they're interested in knowing more. So this is like a place that I would say like positive response, and I would save them. So I would just save them, and I would probably screenshot it. Now, I have a team. My team would do this, but I'm showing you guys this right here. So my team would do all this stuff for me. But I have someone that might be interested, right? So this is a possibility that they would list on our platform. And so that's that. Now I want to go into the last one. I want to do South Bend. I want to make sure that I hit all you guys' targets. So just out of curiosity, I know you all are still sticking around. Thank you so much. Does any of these things make sense? Like, how do you feel about these things? Is it too confusing? Or is LinkedIn a place that you would, if you don't do it, it's fine, but is LinkedIn a place that you would go? Would you go somewhere else? Like, would you use another platform? Yeah, it definitely is recorded. But yeah, so that's this. This is just one strategy though. So this is just one strategy out of finding properties out of like all the platforms that exist. The reason why I'm showing this is just because I want to help you guys understand that there is more than Zillow, right? Sometimes these property owners are easier to close on other websites than they are certain other websites. So just know that. But I wanna do South Bend real quick, just because I want to. So South Bend, Indiana. So we'll do South Bend, Indiana. So we have 6 results. So there's not enough. We could still do it. Like, I can select all these people and I can still do a search for these people, but it's going to go very fast. And my odds of finding like all these 6 people, they could all say yes, and then I have something. But a lot of times when you're doing prospecting and stuff like this, it's about volume. So if I send a message to 6 people, more than likely only 1 or 2 are going to respond, and maybe only 1 is really going to actually go forward with something, even if it's still free. So that's kind of the odds that I'm dealing with. But South Bend and Waldorf, like, for example, I'll show you. are going to be way better places on a place like Zillow or Facebook Marketplace. See, on Zillow, notice there's way more people. Look, watch this. There's way more people in South Bend. There's over 1,000 results for South Bend, Indiana. This guy's probably a real estate investor. This guy's probably a real estate investor. This guy's probably a real estate investor. But they are only going to list their properties on Zillow. And they're not going to put real estate investor in their bio. Or 300 properties. If I want to make it even more, I'm going to go and just do houses. 142. Right? And so having this specifically is more so like, okay, I'm going to just use Zillow for this search. And I'm going to try to find other properties in South Bend, on other platforms. So we'll do Waldorf. I'm hoping this makes sense. But I'm teaching again on Friday, so I can cover things again. So like 25. Like, don't, like with these places, don't feel like because it's, like, here's what I will tell you. So actually, let's go to a place like Hot Pads. So Hot Pads, we do Waldorf. So with Hot Pads, it's a lot easier to find property owners if I go through Hot Pads. It's still going to show. Notice on Zillow it showed 25 houses for rent. It shows 27 on here, right? But I'm gonna do for rent by owner. Sometimes in these smaller cities though, they don't have a lot of properties for rent by owner because they just don't, because your selection is a lot smaller anyways. But notice how on Zillow it has said like this property was 25 days listed. Like this property owner is more interested in leasing the property to whoever. Like more interested in listing their property to whoever because their property's been listed for 1 month and they updated it 3 days ago, hoping that someone will lease their property. So they don't want to keep having to pay that monthly mortgage every month because it's costing them money. So if someone can come in and lease their property from them and they don't have to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months, then they're going to be more interested. And if you see that they listed it a certain amount of days ago and they're updating it, recently, then they're trying to change things on their listing so that people can see it, so people can become interested in it. And so that's how you'll be able to, find people, like find property owners, and get them and make it easier for yourself because they're more eager to rent their properties. So like this, I like the way this property looks. I'm not a huge fan of like properties that are like decked out in carpet, but this property was listed 22 days ago and they updated it 7 hours ago. So that means they're trying to get this property leased. Like they need this property to be leased for sure. And nobody is just leasing it. And it has a lot to do with the fact that probably a lot of people in this area aren't doing Airbnb. Here, actually, let's look. Let's not assume, because this is another piece of information I like to. I love small cities, by the way. Like I love small cities. I operate in small cities. So I do Airbnb and midterm rentals for my dad. I've retired my dad through the space. He never has to work again, and yeah, my dad never has to work again, and because I operate in a small town, there's no competition whatsoever. So small towns are actually pretty good. Waldorf. So if I do like, it's gonna probably be houses, so 6 guests. So this is the benefit that you have. So I won't dive too deep into this, but the benefit that you have is because it's a small town, there's absolutely no competition, which means that if anyone comes to the town, they have to stay in one of the 8 places. So if, like, in the market that I'm in for my dad, it's Marshall, Texas. They have 30 Airbnb listings on the platform in Marshall, Texas. When we first started 3 years ago, it was only 5, and he had 3 of them. So we stayed 100% booked because if 10 people came to the city and wanted to stay in Airbnbs for the town, in the town every weekend, we were going to get booked 100%. If 10 people came in to the city for a month and they needed to stay at, and they only wanted to stay at Airbnbs, we were going to get booked. So being in a smaller town allows for that to happen because there's going to be more people that come into the town than there are listings, simply because there's thousands of houses or hundreds of houses in the town and only a few Airbnbs to stay at. So when you see properties that have a lot of reviews, like this is a good amount, this is a good amount, this is a good amount, like 89, 45, 57 is a good amount, right? 317 is a good amount. Like it lets you know, and on top of that, 6 of the listings are guest favorites. And not that it truly means anything because it's based off of reviews and things like that, but it lets you know, oh, is this you? This is you. I think this is you. Is this you? Hey, hey, that's lit. So yeah, so like this is great. I won't invade your privacy or nothing, but yeah, like you're in a perfect position. Like you're literally in a great position by having a property in a small town. 35 is great. 89 is great. 45 is great. Like you're gonna get like let me look at this one. So like their last checkout was today, right? Last checkout today. Last checkout 2 days ago, 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago, right? This tells you that these are the only options. Like these are their only options. Just because their calendar is not packed out, booked, does not mean anything at all. Because a lot of these people are going to these smaller towns, so in their head they're thinking, "Oh, it's going to cost me less," or "There's going to be options. Don't worry about it." Like, but on the other end, the operator has an advantage because they can raise their rates because they don't have to be competitive at all. They're going to get booked. They don't have to be competitive at all. So you have a benefit of being in a smaller town, especially when you have a great design property that stands out, looks different. Like you're gonna get booked. So when it comes to finding properties, definitely go for smaller towns for sure. Highly recommend it. You won't hear coaches talk about that. You may hear a small amount of coaches talk about that, but you won't really hear coaches talk about that because, again, it's not marketable. If I'm creating ads as a coach and I'm telling people, yeah, my student got a property in Dallas, my student got a property in Phoenix, my student got a property in Miami, my student got a property like in all these big cities that I'm naming, it sounds more attractive than saying, yeah, my student got a property in Waldorf or my student got a property in Marshall. People are like, what is that? Like, I'm not interested in that. But then what's happening is the people like me and Tiana and other people are making a killing in these towns and making way more than the people in a place like Dallas or in a place like Phoenix or in a place like Miami because we have no competition. But it's not marketable. So like if we were the ones that were more successful and a coach did find that out and we were their students, that coach would talk about us. But it's not going to attract the most people because it's not a huge city that everybody knows about. So they have to dive deeper in explaining why that smaller town makes more sense than a big town. And also what you deal with is with the smaller towns is it takes longer for regulations to happen because there's not enough noise and traffic in the market for people to make a fuss about Airbnb or short-term rentals. In a place like Phoenix, they just create a regulation. Like there's been so much business coming to Phoenix, so many people staying at Airbnb, so many new properties going up that the city's like, wait, hold on. These people are making too much money out here. We need a tax. We need to put a regulation on this so that we can make money off these people. So what does Phoenix do? Every single person that operates an Airbnb in Phoenix has to register with the city, and they have to pay something. And if they don't pay something, if they don't pay for their permit, they have to pay between $500 and $5,000 for every time they get a notice. That's how the city's gonna make money off of you. But in a place like Waldorf or Marshall, Texas, like the city not even worried about Airbnbs because it's not making enough money for them to even be concerned, or making enough money for them to even feel like they need to take from the people. So you have a lot of benefit by being a small town. So that's just my 2 cents. There's a lot of experts in here. I won't call myself an expert. I'm always learning. I know a lot of coaches that has not retired anybody in their family from the Airbnb business like I have, but I know they're still experts in what they do. And I know they know a lot more in certain areas than I do, which is why I want them to teach in this community. And it's why I focus on just helping people get properties. So, because that's all I do full time. That's what I literally do for a living, is help people find properties. So, and help change people's lives. So that's that. One thing I was going to mention, if you now that I'm thinking about it, it won't actually work if you try to do this yourself. If you try to bypass all like the profile stuff on Sales Navigator or anything like that. I showed you guys how to set it all up though. If you guys want me to help you set certain things up as far as LinkedIn goes or anywhere else, just let me know. And you can book a call with me. You'll see Maryland on ZFine, for sure. You'll definitely see it on there, and you'll also see. We'll make sure South Bend is on there. We'll make sure Arizona's on there as well. We actually have. I'll show you guys. I saw some stuff in Arizona this week in our pipeline. But our team checks the regulations often, and we saw the regulation, so there was like some holdback, but it's taking too long to load. But we have properties in Arizona in our pipeline for sure that are coming to the platform soon. I have a team member that's specifically focused on the Arizona market because it's their slower season right now, so rents are a lot lower. And then I just hired a team member. They start tomorrow, so I'm having them focus on Maryland. It's not because of you. It's because someone else, they had sent me an email about Maryland, but not your market though. But they sent me an email about Maryland. Let me pull up this email. I'll show you guys. I'm like, for real. Like, people hit me up all the time about stuff like this. I can't expose their information, but they told me to I saw your email when I was checking before this call. So they sent me this email of Maryland cities by population, because people have to understand like, we don't know these things. Like, we know what people tell us and what people are making us aware of, but that's really all we know. So when we learn these things, we're like, okay, cool. Like, this is a pretty big population. We can target this place. And so they sent me this, and we're like, all right, cool, we'll make it happen. So these are Maryland cities by population. They happen to do midterm rentals, and they have connections in majority of these cities for midterm rentals. And they asked if we can have these places on our platform. We're like, yeah, that's no problem. So you'll see a lot of these places on our platform as well. Especially since I hired a new team member. They start tomorrow. So I'm excited for that. And you'll see more properties very soon. But yeah, that's all I have for y'all. Like, I wanted to make it different. I always have something different every call. So like, I've probably only shared, out of all my calls, I probably only share like 5% of what's out there. So it's so much to learn. But what I do recommend to you is focus on one platform. Just focus on one platform, and like, to find properties. I wouldn't try to do every platform. I just want to share the amount of platforms that you can use, because you may not like Facebook, you may not like Twitter, you may not like LinkedIn. So just all the places that you can use to make it easy for yourself. But if coaches are only telling you one option and you are not successful with that one option, what are you going to do? You're not going to pursue it anymore. So if you know 20 different options, you're less likely to quit before you get started, because you know there's more ways to get properties. So that's the way, that's, the reason why I do these things. So thank you all so much. Truly appreciate you all. This recording will be in the replay section. You'll all get a notification when the recording goes up. And I'll make sure that we never have that issue again. I'm hoping we don't have that issue with this. It says it's recording, but I'm hoping we don't have that issue with this anymore. And so I appreciate you all, and looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. William West, he'll be coaching listing optimization. He's truly an expert, truly amazing. And after that, I'll be coaching on Friday. And then we have credit on Saturday, day off on Sunday. And then on Monday, we have Lauren Sedler. She teaches property setup. She teaches property design, setup, and launching. And then we have 2 more coaches next week as well. So, and then it starts over with, new coaches and, current coaches. So exciting, super excited for you all, and appreciate you all so much. I'm super grateful for each and every one of you, and even the people that are watching this recording as well. So thank you. I'll see you guys on tomorrow.